Welcome to ISKmaking for the Free Folk, Season 1, Episode 1. In this episode, I will provide a general overview of the faction warfare missions. I will talk about ISK per hour and how it scales up the more accounts you have. This is my faction warfare missions spreadsheet, and I will use this spreadsheet to show you some figures about running faction warfare missions. But let me back up a little bit and give you some detail about what happens when you're running faction warfare missions. This is Dotland's map of faction warfare space. So suppose you have one account in Minmatar side and you want to run faction warfare missions. A generic mission running session is consisting of taking missions, spawning missions, and doing missions. So suppose you are staged in Hek, which is a market hub in Minmatar space, and you want to begin taking missions. For that purpose, the best ship is a Leopard shuttle. So for that purpose, you get yourself a Leopard shuttle. There are 15 mission-giving stations in Minmatar space for Minmatar faction. So you set an optimized route between all the mission-given systems. And then you go along this route and begin taking missions and do the entire circle like this and come back to Hek. Now you have 15 missions in total. Secondly, it's time to spawn the missions. This time you have a mission running route, which is symbolized here with the green line. Now you take your Leopard and visit all these 15 systems and go through the entire opposing faction's space and spawn all these missions in your mission stubs and do the entire circle again and come back to your staging, which is Hek. Now you switch to your Proteus and then do the green route again and visit all the systems that you have missions and do the missions one by one and then do the cycle and then come back to your staging. So if you have one account, this is more or less how you do missions in faction warfare space. If everything goes right, you spend some 35 minutes in taking missions, some 20 minutes in spawning missions, some 50 minutes in warping around, and some 42 to 51 minutes in doing missions. In total, you spend some 2.5 hours in doing everything, which nets around 1 billion to 1.25 billion ISK in total. And your ISK per hour will be somewhere around 400 million, 450 million. Here is where things start to get more fun. Suppose you did one mission run and plexed a new account, and now you have 2 leopards. Instead of taking 15 missions in total, you move both of your leopards from these systems and you take 30 missions in total. And then you come back and then you spawn 30 missions in total and then you come back again. And then you reship to your Proteus and go visit this time maybe 30 missions and then do all 30 of them and then come back to your base. This is going to mean that you took 5 minutes more to take them twice the amount of missions, and you took 5 minutes more to spawn twice the amount of missions, and your warp around time will not be changed that much, and your mission blitz time will be perhaps doubled, but in the end your ISK per hour will net something between 600 and 700 million. So you see, a second mission plurality provides a significant increase in your ISK per hour. And all you need for that is a plexed account with a Leopard, which is basically a shuttle. So you don't even need this new skills for that. And if you plex a third account, then your ISK per hour will be somewhere around 700 and 800 million. And here is where things get really fun. Suppose with your previous income, you perhaps farmed about 20 hours and then purchase the second Proteus tune and purchase the ship for it, and then expanded your account count to 4, and you now have 4 mission pullers and 2 mission doers. Now you take the same route with 4 leopards and go inside all the mission systems, mission giving stations, and take 60 missions in total. This time each of your shuttles will have a different optimized path, and in the end you will have all the ships back to your staging point, which in my case is Heck. And once you come back, you have now 60 missions in total. Now that you have 2 Proteuses and 4 accounts, you can complement your Proteuses with Griffins, which are going to hold the gates for extra safety. And then you can divide the faction warfare map into 2, and each of these couples will have their own waypoints and will have their own mission systems to go circle and do the missions and come back. And if you can do both of these at the same time, then this is going to substantially increase your ISK per hour. So you do in one system, you're with one mission running Proteus and a Griffin. In another system, you're in a Proteus and Griffin, and you're doing 2 separate missions at the same time, and then you're coming back to your original staging point. And this setup is what made me 105 billion ISK in about 20 separate days, in about 84 hours in total, and on an average ISK per hour of 1,300,000 or something like that. And my ISK per hour would have been much closer to 1.5 billion per hour if the mission tier, if the faction tier kept being tier 5. But unfortunately, it went to tier 4 at some point during the summer. So my ISK per hour was slightly lower. So overall, this is how faction warfare missions scale with more accounts you have. And you can reach to numbers up to 1.5 billion per hour ISK. But you see, even with one account, just one Proteus, faction warfare missions are pretty accessible and they are still profitable. For that, if you go in with one account, you still make 450 million ISK per hour, which is nowhere near you can make in a nullsec setting or during anomaly running with a Proteus. And now that you guys know how things go in general, we can go into details in the upcoming videos and go through each stage of the faction warfare mission running one by one and provide you the details.